I remember there was a time everybody was on a lockdown. The whole school was on a lockdown. And this man summoned me and asked me to go downstairs, go to the classrooms. There was nobody. Deep down inside me, I had fear that I was about to be raped. My parents had given authority to a master. So in my year 2 of high school, this boy approaches me and, tells me he loves me and he wanted to be in a relationship with me. And at first, it's not like I was really interested, but out of fear of nobody's going to like me if I say no to this one, then out of fear, I accepted him. He was in a class above mine, so I also had fear of, or maybe will I be talked about in a certain way if I don't accept him. Oh, I had all these thoughts, but I felt like I owed it to myself to just accept this guy because I needed the validation that actually, somebody wants me. And oh my God, this guy had all the right ways to make you feel loved. But at the same time, I do not know if, in that moment, I don't even know if I knew what love was, because this was the first thing that was being offered to me by a man who is coming to me for the first time in my life, in my whole life, telling me you were beautiful, you were intelligent. These were very beautiful words to hear from a man that is not my mother, that is not my father, somebody different, just seeing me, because I had a lot of negativity my whole life, that when this boy started saying these things, they just drew me so much to him. And he did have the right words to say. So I start walking a journey with him. We got so close, because this wasn't even like a sexual relationship, because we would never dare to go there. But it was just words. Words made me fall in love with this guy, because they were so beautiful to me to hear. They affirmed me. It was like I was finally being given a drop of water, and I've been living in a desert. It was so soothing to my ears. I fell in love with the affirmations. I fell in love with him telling me, you are capable, you are enough, you are beautiful. He looked forward to talking to me. I wasn't a burden in his eyes. He took care of me. He knew what I needed when I needed it. And this man started sucking me, was a boy, started sucking me into his life. And I was willingly going into it. I fell in love with the encouragement of course, the other friends we had, because most of them were dating. But I had no guidance, because how dare you speak that you have a boyfriend in an African household? Among all the things they have told me, you will get pregnant before you finish high school, everything they assumed would happen to me. There is no way I was going to give them that satisfaction that actually this is going to happen to me because I have a boyfriend. No, so I kept quiet about it. And the thing is that he had nothing to offer. You know how we get excited in high school, guys that are rich, because my best friend by then had a boyfriend who used to shower her with these beautiful things, with these gifts. But the thing is that I did not even care about the gifts. I loved hearing what this guy had to say in my ears. I just love, and I remember we were in high school, and they would write these small notes, small tiny notes, and me reading that would excite me, like, oh my God, he thought about me before he slept. He thought about me in the morning, in the middle of class, he thought about me. So here's the thing, right? I fell in love with this guy so much that I would start to feel him. He would be in another room or somewhere else. It was like my soul got intertwined with this guy, but not because I had sex with him, with the words that he kept on saying in my head. They filled me up that when I remember I could just be in a room in my classroom, and if he was downstairs, I would hear him. I would feel that this man is around somewhere. That's how I got so intertwined with this man, with this boy, that nothing else made sense or seemed important in my life. My mom, we were not allowed to have phones at home, but I would go home and figure out a way of sneaking around to just talk to him. He had become a lifeline for me. And then something happened, and one day we broke up. And I was dealing with this pain which I could not talk to anybody about it. Everyone around me knew what was happening with me, my friends. We broke up and I got sick, and I didn't even know what was wrong with me. My mom picked me up. She maybe thought I just needed a break from school. My grades started going bad. I lost track of school because now a gift that seemed like a gift, kids hate school, but I looked forward to going to school because that was how close I could be with him. And we broke up, and I feel like a part of my soul was taken away from me. I could have given anything to keep this relationship. I would have done something, anything. And to make matters worse, with the low self-esteem I had, the guy got involved with another girl that was younger than me. And all the rejection of nobody would ever want you, nobody wants you, even your parents don't want you. It was like it was fueled again with this. So I was like, anyway, who's going to want me? So I started getting involved with some friends who could sneak in drugs in school. And that was like year 3. And there was this drug called Kuba by then when we were in school. And I started using it to go to sleep. I started using it to cope with the feelings that I was feeling, because I went back to feeling alone and left. And what had made us break up was, it was just a rumor that he had, but I tried to explain and he didn't listen. And he took away what he had given me. The company, the feeling like I'm relevant, the feeling that I'm important and I'm seen, it was taken away. So I started getting these things to cope. Whichever student had to leave school had to get permission from like administration or a teacher. It was like a whole pass. For you to do something, you have to get a permission. So I had to fake a gay pass to get out and go get some kind of relief. So this started opening up a door for me. I started drinking. I started using that drug to help me cope. But I would sit in class and just cry. And I couldn't tell my mom about it or anybody about it that, could have given me good counsel. I started getting into relationships that I couldn't have gotten into because I wanted to catch a glimpse of what the other guy was offering me. I struggled so much in school. And when it got to, I started getting involved with these boys with this company in school, people that I did not have to get, involved with. We started being those reckless people in high school where they are the ones that are always being caught doing something. So my journey in my high school, my problems, my obsession with boys, because now I started coming from one boy to another, because I was looking for something that this guy was giving me that I wasn't getting. So I started doing things to just help me feel that again. There is a time my parents were called because I started having this rebellious spirit in me, because I was always angry. I was always looking for something. I was always trying to get back that girl that was innocent before, to get back that feeling before. So I started being rebellious. I always ended up doing wrong things. So until the administration got tired of it, they gave me a suspension from school, whereby I had to leave school for a certain period of time, and that was unspeakable. They called my mother. My mother came and beat me at school. That I remember I had a friend that came they came with my dad, and the first thing dad did was to slap me the moment he saw me, and then my mom beat me. She beat me so much without hearing reason. Why was I the way I was? Because it was mandatory. There is no way you can be chased out of school. There's no way you can get an expulsion or a suspension. So they beat me and told me to go back. We were still in school, and they talked to our disciplinary master, and they ended up telling me to go back to school, like to go back to the dormitory. So I didn't get any suspension. But when my mom talked to this disciplinary master, she asked him to permit, she gave him authority over me, but she did not understand that she had given a key to this man to try to take advantage of me. So this man would summon me wherever I was. He would summon me and just come, be like, your mom gave you to me. This guy had seen how my parents reacted to suspension, so she knew that the fact that they did not even give me a chance to explain myself, because there are some parents usually came and they reasoned him out and they're like, no, this is not going to happen to my child. But my parents' reaction when this man came, he knew he had power over me, because there's no way I was going to tell my parents anything. So I remember there was a time everybody was on a lockdown. The whole school was on a lockdown, because they used to do that when we're about to, when kids are getting wild up and stuff. I think they had cancelled the movies, and the whole school was on lockdown. Girls could not leave their dormitories to even go for prayers, and Muslim schools, they will always go for prayers. He couldn't go, and the boys couldn't leave their dormitories, so we're all stuck. And this man summoned me, sent an askari and asked me to go downstairs, go to the classrooms. There was nobody, and when the person told me to go to class, I don't know, deep down inside me, I had fear that I was about to be raped. And with all my soul, I was like, I don't care if my parents are going to kill me. I refused. I went and I hid. They looked for me. It was in the middle of the night. It was like 9 o'clock. And this man is asking me to meet him in his office with the authority that my parents had given to him, and by myself, with an askari who was supposed to walk me the distance. For those who have been in Uganda, the distance in these schools are so far away. Like, it's a mile away from the dormitory to where the offices are. So it was so far away. I refused to go. And up until that time, I just realized my parents had given authority to a master. But by the grace of God, I survived that day. And it was a few months till we end like year 4 of high school, and I was suspended from school because of a letter that man wrote. I was suspended from school, actually expelled, not like suspended or expelled, but I was let go from the school. They wrote a letter whereby they said even if I got the grades the school needs to get us back, we had to go back for extra 2 years. They said I wasn't allowed to go back because I'd gotten involved with some guys, but the letter came from that guy, and I was like, it is well. There is no way I was going to tell my parents that this guy wanted this or wanted that, because I had several meetings with him. But even if I said something, my parents would never believe me. So I left that school. And now, because of the letter this man had written, now they took me to a single school for the rest of the 2 years. I go into this high school. I studied there for 2 years. And then I think the first year when I went to that school, I go to, I used to, do drama, because, single sex schools, the girls have to play like the men, and then you have to play all the parts. So, I acted this part. I acted it so good as a boy, and it was so good. I won best dancer and best, actor. And then the school administrators were taking their kids on a trip to Sweden. And somehow my headmistress was like, Sophie, you're such a muse. Like, you're a happy person. You're a good vibe. I need you to ask your mom to be to let us take you to Sweden. But, she has to pay, of course, certain money and do it. And I laughed because none of us in our family had really ever even owned a passport, let alone pay money for a plane. We were living in the most ghetto area. Like, there is no way my mom was going to be like, I'll pay all that money for Sophia to go have a trip. But they called my mom for a meeting, and I was like, yeah, you can as well just tell her, and but I'm not gonna go. And somehow my mom was like, yeah, we'll do it. And I knew at the back of my mind that my mom did not have the money, and he wasn't going to ask daddy to do it. So, but she was happy about the opportunity, because one thing about my mom, she always put me in those places. She tried to always put me there, even to take me to the school like I was at. She always made effort to put me in the right places, connect me with the right people and all that, which of course for me it wasn't enough, but she always made effort. So one day, she comes over to school, and then she's like, yeah, you will go. But back of my mind, I'm like, where are you going to get all this money? But, I think she had talked to the HM, and she had convinced them to let me go, and then she was going to pay partially, in installments. And, I go to this trip, and it was such a big opportunity, because now I'd gone with these people's kids that are very rich, that are well-to-do. Like, they were doing so good. Like, I had no business being there. I had no business flying out to Sweden with these kids. So I go, and when I got there, since we had gone for a Ugandan, export thing, there was this very old man who was there. He was a big deal. He was a diplomat in that country, and he saw me, and somehow I was 17. He saw me, and somehow he thought I was good enough to be his wife. He went and told my headmistress and told her, I want that girl. And I remember I didn't know about the conversation they had, but this guy pulls me, my headmistress pulls me on the side and tells me, Sophia, I need you to check in with me every 2 hours. So I was like, is everybody like checking in with you? She told me, check in with me every 2 hours. Which later I went and I was having a conversation about the tour guides that were helping us. They were also Ugandans who are living in Sweden. And they told me like, there is such a big man who wants you and your headmistress is afraid that you will be kidnapped and kept here. That's why she's asking you. Which I was like, really? Well, it was kind of like, I was like, oh, yeah, somebody, wants me. But like, I later found out the guy was so old. He was like 50 or 55 or 60 years. He was so old. He had like even gray hair and I was 17. And this guy kept on like looking at me in a very weird way. He took us shopping and I remember he bought me an iPad, and which was a big deal for me. I was in high school. And then he later on took me to his house and it was at the beach. He had a beach house. It was so cute. But I went with friends, so I was safe. So he had these tour guides because he had such influence amongst those people. So he would do whatever he wanted to do and he would get away with it. So he got me the iPad, which was a big deal to me. I was like, oh my God, I thought the guy was being fathery. But yeah. So we go back home and I remember we went back to school and this guy appears at home in my parents' house. And they asked him what he wanted, and he said he wanted to marry me. And that's where he got our information, and he said he got it from school. What bothered me so much was the fact that my parents considered to give me away to this man. This man was older than my father. But he came home with a lot to offer. And I bless God that I was still in high school. Because if I wasn't, I was going to be married off. It's illegal to marry kids that are below 18 years. And this guy was like, I'll wait for her. When I was talking to my parents about this, it crushed my soul. And I said, there's no any way a parent would even consider this. It was so unreasonable to me. I felt like a commodity that is waiting to be sold off. That was a lot. I was 17 years. I was building up anger because I did not release it to anyone. This anger kept on growing from the time I was 8 years. Until that time, I was 17. When I had this, I started loathing my father. I knew we weren't okay. I knew we weren't fine. And that was all okay. I thought that was the typical African child. That's the way you're supposed to be raised. But the fact that these people were trying to consider to give me off to a man that was older than my father. That was a lot. Because despite of the fact that I did all these crazy things in my life, I never slept with anybody. I told and vowed to myself that the only thing I have control over in my life is my body. So no one would ever convince me to do anything I did not want. So I kept my purity, my virginity as a commodity. And I was like, yeah, at least no one will ever forced me to do this? I started imagining things and I was like, now I'm sold on to this guy who is in a different country, away from my parents. Who am I going to run to? And I kept making prayers because I was in a Muslim school, but I did not know how to pray. I kept, when it was time to do those Muslim prayers whereby you pray doing whatever you do, I kept talking to God. I needed a way out. Another time I didn't know if he was hearing my prayers. But I just kept doing it. But I started hating my father in ways I did not understand because I was so angry. I had been angry for a long time. I imagined the things that would have happened to me, the authority they gave to that man who would have taken advantage of me. I felt like I needed an out. I felt like I could scream, and I always kept on this. I kept this persona. I was the life of the party. I was always the happy one. I was always the one giving joy to everyone. My whole world was sinking and I was drowning, and no one was there to pull me out because I was the one who gave life. I was the one who made other people feel better. So there is no way I was going to break down and tell people this is what I'm going through. And when I talked to one of my friends about this situation, because he was eating me up, she told me for her, she was already, the guy who was supposed to marry her after she was 18 was already paying for her tuition. That she was already living in that situation. So I want to speak to you that even despite of all the things they were doing to me, trying to sell me off, all these odds working against me, people trying to take advantage of me, God did not let it happen, because his hand was covering me. He always set a way out for me because he knew me, and he knows you too. That's why the things that you are going through are not finishing you. I want you to be encouraged that the same God who preserved you in that situation you are in, back in your village, back in the place you are working, at your workplace, all those things that had come to take your life, I want you to be encouraged that he is the same God that is going to help you out of this situation. I was a preacher. I was somebody who was supposed to try people's lives, to help people. I was supposed to turn into, but the enemy was trying to bring all these weapons to make sure that whatever was in the inside of me should not come to fruition. But like the Bible says that a word of God can never come down and go back unfulfilled. It preserved me. And you as well are being preserved by God. There is a word upon your life. There is a word that came upon your life when you were put in your mother's womb. And that is the word that is going to help you through it all. Hang in there. Hang in there. Hang in. Hold on to the list that you have. God will use it and make a way out. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you for staying with me. Thank you for walking this journey with me. I pray that, you will be encouraged. And next week, I want to take you deeper into what happened, because when I thought I'd survived this older man, I didn't know that worse things were waiting for me. Things now that now I had control over, because before it was the people, the surroundings that were bringing me into it. Now it was myself taking me down that path. So tune in next week and let me share more with you. And I pray that you will be helped. And please continue talking to me. Give in the comments. It encourages me to know that I'm not speaking to myself, that you are out there and you're being helped. Keep commenting. Inbox me. If there is something that touches your heart, keep talking to me. Let us walk together this journey of healing. Share. Please share, subscribe, and like. I'll see you next time. I love you and Jesus loves you. I went to this guy who was a friend, and I told him what had happened. And he told me, Sophie, Don't worry, I have something to make you feel better. And he gave me weed. And I got high. I started sleeping around. I was okay with it because now I didn't care.